Welcome to the first coaching corner from giffgaff. I'm Stephanie and I'm joined by young money blogger Iona Bain. We're here once a month to bring you, the giffgaff members, closer to a coach, an expert, someone that knows that stuff that either you don't know or you'd like to know more about. And over on the giffgaff website, you can have a browse in the community section, find out more about Coaching Corner, find out more about what's coming up, and even get your questions in ahead of time, which I know some of you lovely members have already done. How can I save money while raising kids?
I'd say first of all that if you're not making the most of the various advantages that you can get now with tax-free childcare and childcare vouchers, find out more about those, because that's basically, in the case of tax-free childcare, that's basically the government giving you free money towards childcare. Making sure that you are getting the best deal when you're out shopping, buying in bulk, planning ahead, and being organised with your shopping. I talk about the capsule fridge or the capsule wardrobe. So you know you've got a certain number of ingredients and you can mix and match them and they go with lots of different meals. And that way you're not thinking about it too much and you're keeping your shopping list pretty simple. You know what you have to buy, you know that it comes within budget. It just makes life so much easier.
Let's stay in the house and on food. Okay. John Rooney 80 over on the giffgaff community asks for some advice on how to spread out £100 on food for a month.
You've got to know how much you've got to play with. When you're on your weekly shop, again, it comes back to planning your meals and knowing, okay, I'm going to have, let's just say, curry on Monday, pasta on Tuesday, chili con carne on Wednesday. And those are actually 3 good examples because you can prepare a sauce for 2 of those days using a very small number of really quite cheap ingredients. You buy that, and then once you've got it, you can use it potentially for another meal on the Thursday, another meal on the Friday. And I actually discovered a really good meal that costs, I think, all of £3.50, which is roughly the amount that John's got to play with each day. So, yeah, and it's one that I haven't seen before, but actually it's really yummy. You take tinned fish, because you can now get, sardines and mackerel and lovely, yummy sauces already there. Pop that with some quinoa or some rice. Takes about 5 minutes, maybe sprinkle some vegetables on top. It's a really quick and easy meal that you can do. It costs absolutely nothing, well, next to nothing.
I'd like some advice on travelling on a budget.
The number one piece of advice that I would give is to make sure you're not paying more than you need to on currency. So obviously, we all know that waiting until you get to the airport is a terrible idea because you are really paying over the odds for currency if you do that. But actually now you can get some really neat apps where you get very minimal currency exchange rates and you get issued a card and you can then use that card in lots of different countries and it really keeps the cost of currency down. And then as well, there's some really great apps that I've come across recently. Again, if you do your research online, you'll find ones that will actually suggest certain trips based on your budget. So if you type in, how much money you've got to spend, they'll come back with some really neat suggestions. And I would also say slow travel is a big concept that I've come across recently, which I absolutely love. The idea that you're not necessarily planning this really ambitious itinerary that could end up being quite expensive, but you're just deciding to stay in 1 or 2 places for a little bit longer, really exploring what they have to offer, really living like a local. And actually that doesn't cost that much and it's just a subtle change of mindset. But I think that actually it will end up saving you quite a lot of money and you'll end up having a better travelling experience. So it's win-win. But if you want to save on flights, obviously, booking on certain days of the week, travelling on certain days of the week, planning ahead in that way, being part of loyalty schemes and regular flyer schemes, all those things can help as well.
Household bills. Ooh. Ray 2 asks, how do I get the best deal on my household bills?
First of all, if you've got a mortgage, that's your number one priority. I think a lot of the time people kind of try to ignore their bills and hope that, well, actually, maybe I won't have to deal with that for a while. Get online, spend about half an hour researching if you can be on a better deal. And the same goes for your energy bills. Use comparison websites, but also compare the comparison website and get switching.
asks, have you got any tips on being self-employed and managing your money?
I'm self-employed, so I feel very, very strongly about this area. My first tip is maintain your cash flow, because it can be very, very alarming to see the amount of money in your bank account, wobble between £4,000 and £200, and you just want to maintain that steady amount that you've got in your bank account. One way of doing that is just making sure you're keeping tabs on your payments. I used to use something called the Little Red Book, and it's a book that you can buy from any high street stationers. So I quite liked the process of writing down when the job took place, what the amount was that I was going to be paid for it, and then when I filed the invoice or the request for payment. And I think that's crucial. And you're just making sure that you're keeping on top of it, because it's so easy to lose track otherwise. You can't keep it all up in your head. And the other tip I would say is don't give up on saving, just because there'll be those months where you'll have lots of work coming in, lots of money coming in, and you'll think, great, I'm doing so well. But then, sure enough, round the corner, there'll be a lean stretch, and you'll be really glad if you actually put some of that money into a savings account. You're almost future-proofing yourself when you're saving. It helps you sleep at night, apart from anything.
You know what, we've had a real cheeky question that I am not afraid to ask.
Okay.
What's a good way to save money on mobile phone bills?
I think that we are moving into a world where people are, not being wedded to really long, really expensive contracts just because they want to kind of upgrade to the latest phone. I'd say just don't be too precious really about what kind of phone you've got, and always be on the lookout really for getting a better deal on your phone and actually monitoring how you use it, because often we can get shoehorned into tariffs that aren't really suitable for our use.
Okay, I'm going to move on to a different question from Michael Turner over on Facebook, who asks if you have any tips on saving with the saving interest rates being so low at the moment.
The savings rate is a bonus. It's not necessarily the reason why you should save money in the first place. We should be all saving money so that we have that backstop there. So just in case there's an emergency, or even if we have these ambitions that maybe we don't really want to get into debt for, having a savings pot is a far better way of doing that. And if you get paid a rate, fantastic. It's a lovely cherry on top. That's the way I see it. But I think that if you are looking for a better rate on your money at the moment, you can either look at current accounts that pay interest. Actually, quite a few are offering a more competitive deal than savings, which is quite an interesting dynamic that's happening at the moment. So it's well worth checking out. Then, moving a bit further up the risk spectrum, I think that if you want to get more bang for your buck at the moment, you might have to think about investing. Can seem quite complicated, but actually, there are lots of options out there. The savings is there as that backstop. The investing is a strategy for the future.
In putting your money into something that hopefully should mean you get more money back, where do you start with that if you've never looked into it before?
There are lots and lots of options. I would first of all say that you shouldn't invest any money that you really can't afford to lose. So, and you shouldn't invest money if you're not already saving. So concentrate on building up a good savings pot. Then, if you're thinking about investing, make sure you understand your risk appetite, how much money you feel comfortable risking in the stock market. I would say there are lots of really good apps and services online now that kind of do quite a lot of the work for you. It's well worth doing your research and just spending a bit of time getting to know the options out there and how they fit your own approach to risk.
How can I start saving when I don't have any surplus?
Well, that's about creating a surplus. If you think about how much money you've got coming in and then say, right, can I live on 90% of that money? Probably just by switching their bills and making sure they're paying no more than they need to on the bare essentials. You could actually find that extra 10% quite easily.
And of course, if anyone needs that bit of support with finding that wiggle room, giffgaff game plans, a great place to start.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And thank you for sharing your expertise. Some really great questions from our members that you answered, and I hope the coaching was useful and
I hope it's been
the expertise was exactly what you were after. We're doing this monthly, so if you have any questions or areas that you'd love to speak to an expert about, hop over to giffgaff.com, join the community section and you can look us up there. We're Coaching Corner. Share your thoughts, share your ideas for what you'd love to hear more on, and we'll make it happen. Come back next month, we'll be here, we'll be live, and we'll answer your questions. Thanks, Iona.
Thanks.
See you soon.